You'll see it.
Laura Naes.
Yeah, they have a nice painted mural right on the front, and it's right on Holland Road. It's a big section of the Helping Hands building.
Okay, well, Sandy's not going to be here tonight because she's got an HOA meeting. Isn't she lucky? So we're going to have a spirited conversation. So you get all of that. All right. I thought I had more than that, maybe it is.
I actually read that whole thing, did y'all? That was a long reading.
No, I didn't read it.
It was long.
Was it good?
It was. I had to read it like over 3 days. I mean, it was 30-something pages, but then the guy usually tells what, in the video, what it's about.
Yeah.
I have learned a lot. I mean, Proverbs never has been a book that I spent much time in, you know, and now I know how it's organized and what its themes are, and so there's that, I guess.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. I don't know how far we're going to get into this because this one is really long, and it's using words wisely and anger, the role of parenting, the ethics of work, and
The poor. Yeah.
the thing of parental church, what? Parents and churches to protect the vulnerable. Roles.
Yeah.
Can't even read my handwriting. Okay. All right. So we're going to start with faith like a child, and if you read that, it's really interesting that he gave this wonderful discussion to a friend who is really a lot like him. And when he finished, he said, "Now tell it to me so that my 6-year-old can understand."
Right.
Because not everybody has a PhD in Hebrew Bible, and we don't all understand it. So this is what he said. All right, so if we could bow our heads in prayer. Loving God, God of our practicalities and our personal relationships, thank you for caring about how we live our daily lives. Help us to listen with humility, to see your Spirit at work in Proverbs, and to find the path in which you would have us walk. Amen. Okay, Kelly? Have any of you ever had shakshuka?
I have not.
Shakshuka.
Have you?
Yes.
I have never been able to make that trip to Israel or to the Holy Land or anything. Is that where you tried it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was interesting. I like things that are not highly spiced, but still spicy enough to give it a unique flavor.
Is it like a grilled meat and vegetable
No,
kind of dish? Or?
it's like eggs with a tomato sauce.
Okay, because he's talking about a grill here. I never could really figure out what kind of... I see it says a breakfast treat of eggs and tomato sauce.
Yes, and then it's cooked in a pan on a grill. And so he was trying to speed it up and put it in a pita, but you can't do that because it is to be cooked in a pan.
Okay.
And it's a little raclette, and everybody gets their own little individual.
Let's just say you can eat it out of the pan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
saying things in the foolish, the lips and the mouth and the whole foolish speaking thing. Those were some of my favorite Proverbs when I was reading through some of those chapters. I didn't read all 20 of them, but I read a little more than half of them to see what he meant with all his examples, and there's a lot of them about the mouth and the lips and the speech and the...
All right, think about a time when you applied a proverb to your life. And what proverb was it, and what was its practical application?
When I did my notebook, that's all my stuff I wrote down.
Okay. You forgot your notebook, so you don't know.
Because I wrote a whole
list down.
There were a couple that there were several that I had heard of before.
I'd say haste makes waste.
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of a practical application does that have?
I find if I hurry, I end up taking twice as much time as if I had just paced myself.
Okay. Anything else? So I found that women especially try to do more than one thing at once. And there comes a time when we're not really good at it. And if we just did one thing at a time and did it well, then we would do it in plenty of time instead of trying to do.
Forget the multitasking?
Yes, forget the multitasking.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, multitasking doesn't work anytime anyway. So, take your time.
There were a couple that I read over more than once, but of course now I'm not going to be able to find them, but they kind of spoke to me.
I'd say a bird in the hand, a bird two in the bush. For me, meaning I can be grateful for and work with what I have rather than chase after something I don't.
Okay, so be grateful for what you have.
I remember one that he who is of a merry heart hath a continual feast. I used to even have a little kind of like cross stitch that had that on it, not only just to remind me to mind my attitude, but to be grateful for, the smaller things, that you can feel like you're continually blessed, even if you just would have a merry heart is all you have.
Grateful for even the smallest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else that you can think of?
Yay, now there's 3. We're doing songbirds that we can think of and how they apply to our life.
How they apply to your life.
Oh, okay.
Waste. Bird in the hand. Oh, yeah. Oh, I have one. Is that the list you started?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, let me turn off my phone. In Spanish, we say, my mom used to say it all the time, dime con quién andas y te digo quién eres. Loosely translated, it's like, be careful the company you keep. Literally translated, it's tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are.
My mom used to say to me, if they're doing that in public, what do you think that they're doing in private?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
right.
That was her interpretation of that, because she was very concerned when she saw people doing things.
Right. But I remember my mom telling me, the one I shared, when I would want to be friends with somebody in particular, or like, she invited me to the movie, so-and-so, and she'd be like, no, you're not going with her. And I would be totally clueless. Why can't I go? You know, nobody else is inviting me. Please let me go. And she'd be like, no. And her other favorite one, I don't know, El diablo no duerme. The devil never sleeps. She would say, the devil never sleeps. And I would be like, oh, I was a kid.
So you didn't understand that?
I didn't understand that as a kid. I'd be like, the devil never sleeps. Okay. Took me a while to understand that one. I mean,
yeah.
Basically.
So did you get anything out of it at the time?
At the time, no. But because Mom was saying it, I took it as words of wisdom.
Okay.
And I, you know.
Did it make you feel like he was the boogeyman, kind of?
Yeah, it was like fear. It was some sort of
what you would tell a kid about
wariness. Yeah, like wariness. Yeah. Be wary, be cautious, be careful, you know.
Okay, you ready? All right, we're going to watch the video.
Our actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, actions do.
As soon as I get this thing out of the way.
That thing's hard to push. Let me do it. It doesn't go in a straight line.
I realized that already.
Goodness, get the lights for lunch, but I don't know where they are. I'll watch where you go sometime.
And that little switch way over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Proverbs 1-9 sets the stage for Proverbs 10 through 30. So in Proverbs 1-9, we see these two pathways easily laid out before us, before the reader, the way to wisdom and the way to wrongdoing. But then we get to chapter 10, and chapter 10 has a new introduction. Chapter 10 verse 1 has a new introduction mentioning Solomon, and then it looks like it's put together with a little bit less, well, at least initially, at an initial reading, care, right? The Proverbs in this section seem a little bit jumbled. They seem a little bit scattered, and at a cursory reading, they don't seem like they're working toward some literary goal. We can understand what most of the Proverbs mean individually. We understand the words, we understand most of the phrases and the metaphors, and so in this section, we learn a bunch of Proverbs, or we read a bunch of Proverbs that are easily memorizable, that we sometimes pull out of the book and apply to certain situations in life. There are positives and negatives to this. The positive is that we clearly believe that the Proverbs, the individual Proverbs, still apply in our day and age. But when we do that, we are actually sometimes stripping the book of its literary genius. Between chapters 10 to 30, there's still something very special going on there. The author of the book of Proverbs is still working toward an ultimate goal that we eventually see in Proverbs chapter 31. At the very beginning of the book of Proverbs, we read that they're ascribed to King Solomon. Now, King Solomon would have made Solomon part of the social elite. We see that many of these Proverbs are the king talking to the king's son. And that would also make the king's son part of the social elite. But shortly thereafter, we start to read Proverbs that are applicable to the lives of not just the social elite, but to everyone, that relate to everyday common situations that many people would experience. Part of our struggle when we come to Proverbs is understanding what they originally meant in their context. But the writer wrote the Proverbs knowing that the hearer or the reader would understand what was being said. Many of the Proverbs that we have in our book of Proverbs sound very similar to other ancient Near Eastern writings. Some of this wisdom that we have in the book of Proverbs, at least some of the main points, are part of sort of traditional ancient Near Eastern wisdom. But there's at least one thing that makes the book of Proverbs significantly different: the fear of the Lord. The Proverbs that we read in our biblical book of Proverbs direct the reader in the way of wisdom as a result of repeatedly saying yes to the Lord. Now, when we read the word Lord in the book of Proverbs, we read that word with all capital letters in our English Bible. That word, the Lord, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. Capital D.
I don't know what happened.
Jumped out back to session 1 from 3.
Yeah, it ended 3.
Well, he couldn't have ended it there. It's a giant chapter.
3 minutes and 11 seconds.
There must be another section or something.
We don't have it though.
No?
Don't have it.
Okay.
It said it was 10 minutes long. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have it then.
Well, that's too bad. He does a good job of explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here is his conclusion to the story. Did everybody read the story about the shakshuka? You did. You did. Did you read the story about the shakshuka?
No, I did not.
Okay. All right. He went to an Israeli food vendor and he ordered shakshuka, which is a breakfast item, and it's eggs and tomatoes and some herbs and spices, and it's always cooked in like a little raclette pan, which you are supposed to eat it in a pan.
Mm.
It is not a foldable thing. But in the story, he requested that it be put into a pita because he was in a hurry, as we often are.
Mm-hmm.
And the people gave him grief over his order. And he lost it. And he got very angry. And then God just kept on cooking. So finally, he decided this. I was acting in a completely irrational manner, running my mouth over a few shekels in a couple of minutes. I gladly accepted the shakshuka in the pan, sat down, and let the goodness of Israeli fast food proceed into my mouth instead of permitting the extreme folly of my pride and arrogance to continue emanating out of my mouth. The lunacy demonstrated by my speech had almost brought about my demise. The truth is that we all occasionally say things that we wish we could take back, because the anguish of our speech can bring to us and to others. Given the fact that verbal communication is such a significant part of human life and interaction, we are faced with innumerable decisions on a daily basis relating to how we will use our speech. The mouth, lips, and the tongues are both symbols or metonyms for speech, and frequently appear in the Proverbs in order to portray how speech, or even a lack thereof, is indicative of the trajectory that one is following in life. What else speaks words to people besides what we say?
Body language?
Body language is a big one.
Tone.
Tone. Yes. If you're talking to somebody and you're standing here like this, they're not going to believe a word you say because they're protecting themselves for some reason or another.
Right.
Or you're protecting yourself, as it could be.
Yeah.
But I think, the body language, the tone, and what we say, and the words we use. And some of the time, it depends on the language that we use. For instance, in the story, he presented a speech to a friend who had the same background that he did, very highly educated, speech that he was going to give at a conference. And the man said to him, "But will my 6-year-old son understand it?" So if we are with people that we are speaking down to because of the language that we use, it is the same effect. It says, "I am better than you are." And they're not going to listen to what you have to say because they're pretty sure that you think that you're better than they are.
I think I've always said it's all in the delivery. How you say things.
Consider your audience.
Yes.
Consider your audience, but how you say things, it's your tone and how you say. I used to teach my kids all the time how to say things because they would read, had them do read alouds. This is 7th grade language arts. Read alouds, and they don't like that kind of attention. No, they just looked at me like, "That ain't happening, lady." And I was like, "Yes, it is. It is, sweetheart." And they'd be like, "I don't want to do that. I know, this is really hard for you, but I want you to do that. I want you to challenge yourself. I think you can do it." And they'd be, I can't. I said, "Yes, you can. Yeah, I have faith in you." And I would try to, praise them and get them out of that little shell. Because I would tell them, I was the same way. I was worse than you when I was your age. Trust me, I was worse than you. And I would, because they would read in a monotone voice. It was like using words wisely, anger, role of parenting, ethics of work. I'm like, sorry, but that was so boring. There's no emotion, there's no feeling. Yeah, let's read it with expression. Let's read it with...
Let's mean what we say.
Yeah, mean what you say and say what you mean, and and they'd be like, okay, yeah, that's called conviction. Have conviction. You gotta believe in something, or you else will fall for anything.
Right.
And they'd be like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I say, all right, come on, get up.
All right. Okay. Somebody has Proverbs 12:17 through 19.
Oh, that's me.
You can give one of yours away.
Yeah, do you want to? I'll read it.
All right, so 12:17 through 19.
Yep.
He who speaks truth declares righteousness, but a false witness, deceit. There is one who speaks like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise promotes health. The truthful lip shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment.
Okay. Proverbs 10:19.
In the multitude of words, sin is not lacking, but he who restrains his lips is wise.
Okay. And Proverbs 26:20.
Okay, it's here. Without wood, a fire goes out. Without a gossip, a quarrel dies down.
Okay, so what do those three things have in common?
Restraining your words or your lips.
Choose
Okay.
your words
And if
carefully.
you're,
Okay, so choose words carefully.
Think before you speak.
Don't gossip or slander. In my Bible, it's a talebearer. Where there is no talebearer, strife ceases.
Think before speaking. What was the other one?
Choose words carefully.
Okay, so. Okay, and the other one?
Not to gossip or slander.
Anything else? So they're all talking about what we shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do all of those seem doable? Do we do that always? No.
Well, it tells you to speak, if you're righteous, if you speak truth,
Okay,
that's something to do, I guess.
all right.
Yeah.
So speak truth.
If you're wise, your speech promotes health.
Okay. Speak truth. No gossip or slander.
You're wise if you restrain your lips.
Okay, so wise, restraint. Did you ever say something you wish you could take back?
All the time.
All the time?
Try not to.
Well, not every day, but too often, really.
Okay. Were you angry when you said it?
The last time I was, yeah.
Okay.
usually.
Usually.
It's an emotional outburst, usually.
I know, I'm going to ask you, was it somebody you know really well or somebody you don't know very well?
Family member.
Family member. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because in public or with strangers, we're more polite. Unfortunately, it's like, don't answer that way. They don't love you no matter what. They don't even know you. Yeah.
Well,
we always hurt the ones we love. That's another one. We always hurt the ones
and
we
why
love.
do we do that? What's our reasoning
Well,
behind
because
why
we
we
know that they'll forgive us, or you know that they have to forgive us. Probably. They're not gonna. They're still gonna be in our life.
Right. We're not done. Yeah. We know that they know us, and
So that gives us the wherewithal to tell them what we think.
The license,
Angrily.
I guess.
Yeah.
The license to do that.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I told somebody something because they needed to hear it. And it was unkind what I said. But they needed to hear what I had to say. Did it go over well?
I don't know. Did you preface it with like, you're not gonna like this, or this is gonna sound unkind, but
No.
Or, I'm telling you this because I love you.
No.
sometimes that doesn't help either, but it sort of sets up that they're not gonna
Softens the
like
blow.
what they hear.
Softens the blow sometimes.
Well, I think sometimes if you do that, this person in particular, her back goes up.
Yeah, you have to
and
know
she's-
your audience.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's she knows she's not gonna like it, and she's
Right.
already got her nasty face on, so, but we look at this and what could we have done differently?
Think before speaking.
Okay,
Restrain.
so think before speaking.
Yeah, you have that one.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what else?
Choose your words carefully. That is so important. Like you were saying, if you're choose your words carefully, it applies to who are you talking to? Are you talking to an adult? Are you talking to a loved one, a colleague, a coworker, a child? You know, you're going to use different language if it's a child, and you still need to counsel them versus your spouse.
Yeah.
You know, if the child is not related to you, you're not going to say, I'm telling you this because I love you. Because
I'm trying to think of a phrase that would,
soften.
like if you're going to tell me something that is not a kind thing to say, but I need to hear it.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What could you preface it with, or what words could you incorporate that would
Help you accept it.
help me accept it and not cause me to be defensive immediately?
I care about you, so I want to tell you this. I'm concerned about you, so I want to share this with you.
I think you also have to choose your time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you know, respond angrily or decide to pass judgment at a really bad time.
When you're angry.
And they might, well, not even if you're angry, just a really inappropriate moment, you know, when it should be maybe some other time that doesn't have any emotion attached to it, or, you know, I think you need to choose your words, but I think you need to also choose the time
Yeah.
and the place.
Like in front of other people, or maybe just one-on-one, or
Yeah, getting in a fight
or
on
vice versa.
Getting in a fight on Mother's Day is not
Yeah.
a good thing. Or,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right,
choose
right.
your time and place for your expression of unhappiness.
Okay.
I had to do that recently when I was still working. I said something, a teacher was covering my class. I had a meeting and she was sent in to cover my class. And I went in and the kids were very unruly and they were off task, and I was upset with them because I had counseled them already, you're going to behave and blah, blah, blah. They knew I was going to be out for a little bit. And I said something to the teacher. I said, they're not behaving very well. And she says, they're fine. You know, and
She just has a different threshold.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I was embarrassed that they were misbehaving by my standards, the way I have them, you know, and I could tell in her whole facial expression that she was offended by my comment, and then I realized, what did I just do? You know, and I was embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, wait, that's not the way I meant it. But I couldn't have that conversation in front of the kids, you know, the students. So
No.
I went later. I was thinking, oh my God, I think I hurt her feelings. I insulted her, like her ability as a teacher.
Yeah.
She was a seasoned teacher. She was just covering my class, right?
Yeah.
And I started thinking all these scenarios that she must have been thinking.
Yeah. Drive yourself crazy.
Yes, and I said, okay, I have to deal with this today. So I went to her room. And I was so nervous. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know this lady very well, but I cared about her and cared for her. And I was just, okay. And I was nervous and I almost started crying, you know. I was just like, I think I offended you this afternoon. And you know, and I told her that. And I was just like, blink, blink, blink. And she says, you did. Dagger to the heart, you know. I was just like, oh my God, I knew I had done it. And I told her, I am so sorry. I didn't mean, I was upset with them, not with you. I was just wanting to get them to behave. I meant no disrespect towards your ability as a teacher. I know you're a veteran teacher. And I was like, please forgive me. I am so sorry that I said it that way. I had to blink, blink, blink because I was going to start crying like a little baby. And she says, Everything is fine. But thank you for saying that.
Aren't you glad you aired it out? right
Yes,
away?
because I said, I can't leave. I can't even wait till the next day.
Yeah.
You know, I have to go see this
You
woman
probably
right now.
did 10 times in her eyes.
And,
by
yeah, and I was
going
just
in
like,
there.
I'm so sorry. If I ever do that again, please make me shut up. I said, just tell me to shut up, you know? And she says, we're fine. But thank you for saying that.
Okay,
Stick foot in mouth.
so the next question is, do we need to refrain from any kind of anger?
No, I mean, no. Jesus was angry in the temple.
Okay.
Constructive anger.
serves a purpose.
Constructive anger?
Mhm.
All right. What do you call constructive anger?
Things that need to be said. I
Okay.
mean, there are things that need to be said at certain times, you know, and
And in certain
in
situations.
certain situations, and that it goes back to it's all in delivery, how you say it,
That's right.
how you say it, and the words you use, and how you keep it. I think as a teacher, I always used to keep things very neutral, like not you, you know, this
Yeah.
situation that you were involved in caused blah, 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 blah,
Yes.
but not making them seem guilty or culpable directly.
Got it.
Yes, I know they were guilty, but they know that too. I don't need to, and it's all because of you, blah, 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 you know. It's totally different if I come in all versus, we need to talk about what happened this afternoon. And they're like, okay.
Yes.
You know, and
You
inside
get a different response.
yes. I
Yes.
want to know why you did what you did. And even though I'm thinking, oh, gosh darn it, why did you do that? You messed up the whole blah, 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 you know? But
My
okay.
daughter used one with someone one time that was, what were you thinking before you did that?
Right,
You
right.
know, and I thought, oh, that's such a clever thing.
Yeah,
And one time she asked a kid that, and the kid said they were hungry. You know, I was hungry.
yeah. That's why I grabbed
But
his
I was
Cheetos.
thinking, you know what? Sometimes when I'm hungry, I can, you know, it's like I'm going to scratch and dash or
I
something.
know.
Okay.
You get angry.
Yeah.
Yes. You watch too many commercials.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Proverbs 29:9.
I have that one.
Okay.
Oh, so here, 29:9. Where are you? 29:9. When a wise person takes a foolish person to court, the fool only shouts or laughs, and there is no peace. Wow.
Okay. What does it tell you about fools and anger?
Fool only shouts and laughs, and there is no peace.
Does that say, yours says something about court? Taking
Yeah.
it to court?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
29:9?
29:9 says, when a wise person takes a foolish person to court, the fool only shouts or laughs, and there is no peace.
What does yours say?
Well, maybe it's the way, I mean, this is a different version, but I just didn't get anything court about it. If a wise man contends with a foolish man, which makes me think he's just dealing with him in any context.
Right.
It doesn't say anything about court.
This is a more advanced
So,
contention.
I guess so.
Yeah.
The second part, it looks about the
same,
same,
yeah.
but it just says if a wise man contends with a foolish man, is all it says.
Okay.
I think it's saying, don't waste your time with them.
Yes.
Either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
Basically.
It's
Either
basically
way.
saying, don't waste your time with them. I mean,
Sometimes it's hard to know if somebody's foolish. You know, if you just meet them or whatever, you kind of have to be exposed a little bit longer. To
But
know that
there-
they're a foolish man or woman.
Yeah.
There's some people that it doesn't take very long.
No.
right.
No.
Some we know right away,
Mm-hmm.
but others you don't.
Yes. Okay. Proverbs 16:18 through 19.
16.
Who knows that one?
I don't have that one.
Do you have that one, Cindy?
No, but I'll read it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll read it.
Proverbs
there.
what, 16?
18 and 19.
Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than divide the spoil with the proud.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Stolen property.
Yes. And what do you come away with that?
How to destroy a person's pride.
Pride can be your downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, pride is downfall. And what else?
Humbleness is, I don't know, a virtue. Humbleness is.
Yeah, they say humble. Yeah, it is a virtue. And yet we tell our students, our kids, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. So there's a fine line between being proud and too much pride,
Well, I think part of that is when we take too much pride in ourselves.
Yeah, I think this pride is.
I'm the one who always gets to do that. Now, why do you get to do that today?
Oh, yeah.
That's my job.
Right.
Or I don't.
That's the best
The
job.
kind of pride where you don't need to say yes to God,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
because you've got it figured out.
Right. Or you don't give thanks to God because you did it.
Yeah.
You did it because of your savvy, your intelligence, your whatever.
That Proverbs about the tongues and the speech and all that, I don't know, I'm not enough of a scholar to know what chapters they're in, but there's those other Bible verses that talk about, venom,
Yeah.
a viper, tongue like a viper, and, when you speak, and the tongue is like you're spewing venom, so that they kind of work together.
There's a lot of that in the Old Testament.
Yeah, and I think didn't he say something about them? So the Proverbs would look familiar because there's other Bible verses that they
Yes.
use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would be very familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what is a good family dynamic? Okay. A good family dynamic. What is a good family dynamic?
A good family. You want an example or a definition of that?
Well, what does it entail? A good family dynamic.
Everybody, to me, a family dynamic is everybody's included.
Okay.
Everybody's included and everybody has a voice. Kind of like whenever they take a vacation, everybody gets to. In our family, as an example, like in our family, when we're going to plan our summer trip, everybody gets to say where they want to go, and then we vote on it, or we hash out each one of those areas and which one is more plausible and economical, and then we do it like democratically. But everybody gets to say something, even little Johnny that's 4 years old. He says Disneyland. That's all he knows how to say.
That's all he wants to go.
That's where he wants to go.
In 1982, we were offered a contract to go to Bahrain to work for their government.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had the contract, and the four of us sat down at the kitchen table. Now, this time, my oldest daughter was a junior in high school.
Mm.
So this was a difficult decision.
Yep.
So here was the parameters. We either all vote yes or we don't go. And there will be no recriminations against the person who said no.
Right.
Us thinking of her.
Mm-hmm.
But she had been to Bahrain with us on a 2-week trip that we did when we went there for business. And it came her time and she said, "Let's go." Totally surprised everybody,
Yeah.
but it was all or none.
Uh-huh,
I mean, and it was her junior year in high school, so,
Understandable why she might have said, "I want to stay."
Yeah,
Oh,
and
one
she
more
could
year.
have stayed there. She's gone to high school with all these kids, so.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But what else?
I highlighted this little passage. I don't know if it's what you're looking for or not, but he asks, he says the Proverbs are saying, will you be wise, fear the Lord, listen to the instruction of your loved ones and bring honor to your family.
Okay, so listen to instruction.
And fear the Lord.
And that's something that goes in all of these proverbs. Fear the Lord.
Or will you be a fool? Choose your own wisdom over that of the Lord's. Ignore the instruction of your parents and bring shame and disorder to your family. So the opposites of, bringing honor to the family.
Okay, ignore instruction.
And it says, those who journey on the way to wisdom embrace the role of bringing joy to their parents.
All right, so bring joy.
Because the fear of the Lord moves them to make decisions that honor their families.
Okay. A good family dynamic is when we take what we learned from our parents, teachers, Sunday school teachers, pastors, and pass it on to our children. And when our children will take that instruction and use it wisely instead of ignoring it. But unfortunately, we see all too much of that going on in our world, where it doesn't make any difference how much we've taken them to church and taught them good things, that they have fallen into, I'm going to use the word disrepair, with drugs, alcohol, sex, all of those things, and have gone their own way in life. And it is in spite of everything they were taught.
Especially when part of growing up is rebellion. I mean, every young person goes through a rebellious stage in order to be able to separate from their parents. So that's when a lot of that happens.
But for some of them, it's that rebellious stage never goes away.
Yeah, or sometimes it comes later. Not when they're teenagers or college students, but in their 30s or 20s or something like that.
One of the things that it's also talking about is quick wealth. They're looking for money, and they're looking for money now.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about all of these articles that we read about people who've won the lottery and how in such a short period of time they've lost it all. They've lost everything because they are spending money like it's going out of style. And they don't realize that they have a fixed amount of money to spend.
Right.
And they have just got so caught up in the spending that they have not looked at how much they have. That's why they keep saying one of the first things you do when you win a big lottery is go see a financial planner and have them plan your.
And if you've never had money, if you've unfortunately been poor or something, even $100,000 seems like it would last forever.
Oh yeah.
You've never seen that kind of money, so you would think that you could go buy a house and a car and $100,000.
Go to Hawaii and have
But even that looks huge to somebody who's never had anything.
Right.
Do you know what people who are very poor do if they get money? Let's say I handed a homeless person $100. Do you know what they do with that $100? They share. They share with their friends.
Oh, I've always observed that the poorer you are and the more that someone has helped you, those are the people that do the most donations and the most charity work. Because they know what it's like. They know the effect of it.
Yes.
Interesting.
So it's so these family dynamics can go on forever. But this is looking at how has our view of work changed since the writing of Proverbs?
How has our view of what?
Work.
Well, in Proverbs, personal discipline is manifested through working hard in legitimate employment.
Okay, so what kind of employment did they do? Was there a lot of choices of employment?
Shopkeepers, you know, I guess
Yeah.
shepherds,
Weavers or,
you know.
farming,
Tent makers.
tent makers.
There were still like businesses with just different products, I guess.
Well, and
There
you
were
know
still
what?
merchants.
Sex was also a business.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of women may have married a man, not have any kids, and so they have no way to earn a living. So therefore, here they are.
Once you lose the husband, you're pretty much
Yeah,
a social outcast.
you are. And so that's what they do. What are some worthless disputes, worthless pursuits that might keep us from doing good work?
Well, the Proverbs talk about sleeping too much,
Yeah.
being lazy,
Okay.
Right.
not planting in the fall so that you can harvest in the summer. So I guess
Yeah.
you'll reap what you sow, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Playing video games,
Yeah.
watching television,
Oh, social media.
social media,
Nowadays,
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Hours and hours. And
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who has not been
Call
on
of
social
Duty.
media for
Yeah.
5 years, and her sons called her and said, "Mom, I didn't know you'd gotten back on social media." And she said, "Well, I haven't." And he said, "Well, I have a friend request for your
Page.
page, and it's Dad and your picture." And she said, "It's not me." So the son reported it
Oh my gosh.
to Facebook.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
Yeah, it is.
But, I mean, for 5 years, she hasn't had an account.
Yeah.
And yet her picture is still sitting up there
Uh-huh.
somewhere. And her name, and
Yep.
it's not her name now,
Mm-hmm.
but,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
so,
just creepy.
so there are
Yeah.
worthless pursuits.
There are many.
And I think,
Or being addicted, you know, you spend all your money on drugs and,
yes,
you know, that
Or buying things
can't
on
hold a job
Amazon.
if you're an
That's
alcoholic.
an addiction now. Buying things on Amazon.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
they're shopping.
we were talking about that earlier. You should not talk about that.
Yeah, we were
I should
talking
have
about
been
it
here
earlier.
But we buy things on Amazon that you can't find anywhere else.
Well, I know, we all do. I do too. I do too. I just don't do it all the time, every day, and you know, I mean,
Well, no, but
it does happen.
Be broke pretty quick.
Yeah.
Even regular shopping,
I know.
people can,
I don't even go out to eat anymore. It's so expensive. Hardly, you know.
what are, I was thinking about worthless pursuits. People who buy lottery tickets all the time. I mean, not $5 here and $5 there.
$100 a
you know.
week or
Yes,
something.
something like
Yeah.
that they really can't afford because they want to get rich quick.
Yeah, getting rich quick.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
If you've ever been a teacher and you ask kids what they're gonna do, that's the big joke. I think all of us have been teachers in here, haven't we?
They all
don't want to
wanna
be
be- they all
doctors
wanna
and
be
lawyers and
Gamers. No.
or spend 15 hours a day on a game thing that they make money
Yeah.
on, or a basketball star. They don't, they never understand how you get there. All the work it takes to get there. They want the money that the profession makes, but they don't want to do the work for it.
No, well, that's the whole part, isn't it? It's not doing the work.
Yeah.
No, I used to tell my kids, I understand your desire to be a gamer and actually make some money doing that. I don't know how that's going to happen, but yeah, go for it. I said, but you need a plan B. If that's your
Right.
plan A, let's talk about your plan B. You know, what are you going to do for plan B?
Half the time I laugh and say, you don't even turn in your homework, honey. You know how much studying it takes to be a doctor?
Yeah, right?
You have to do your homework if you're going to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't get it.
No.
Well, eventually they do.
Yeah.
When they can't be what they want to be because they didn't do it. They didn't do it.
Well, and they have to go rent an apartment or something like that, or buy a car and realize just how much money it actually takes, that it doesn't appear magically.
Right, right.
And Mom and Dad don't give it to them. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Talking about concern for justice, it says, we also observe how active the Lord is portrayed to be in protecting all the vulnerable in Proverbs. It is the Lord who protects the poor. It is the Lord who actively maintains the widow's boundaries. And it is the Lord who repays those who are generous to those in need. Proverbs calls obedient readers to recognize that those who care for the oppressed, the needy, and the weak demonstrate the character of the Lord to fellow human beings. Fears of the Lord treat the poor with justice as they walk on their pathway to wisdom. And those who are in positions of power are compelled to speak out upon observing injustice being carried out among the vulnerable. Whether or not we are in positions of worldly authority and have tremendous wealth, it is our responsibility to share our resources with the poor, to treat the less fortunate with dignity, and to afford them all the rights that others would have. So if the Lord did that with all of his people, are we just going to sit back and let the Lord take care of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
No, I'm agreeing that, he takes special interest in the poor. And not only, not just the poor, but specific poor, like the immigrant. That kind of caught my attention. The immigrant, the widow, and one other third category. And also, he really hates that if the poor are taken advantage of by the wealthy.
Yes, people in position of power.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
And he's going to hold you accountable.
Yes.
If you can help them and you don't.
The oppressed, the needy, and the weak. We need to remember that we are the hands and feet of Christ, and that's why. That is our, if you think Martin Luther King's thing, which I somehow or other did not get here with tonight. Do all the good you can to all the people you can and all the times you can, and all the as ever you can, whatever. I forgot the middle of it, but so I think that we're just about ready to close. Did anybody want to say anything before I do the final prayer? This was a really meaty chapter, and this was Proverbs 10 through 30.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see what the last one's all about, because it says that last part 31 is, how you are going to be able to apply it,
Okay, and then the conclusion's even better.
Yeah.
What happens when the Proverbs don't work?
Yeah.
Okay, let's bow our heads for prayer. Jesus, we thank you that you are the word spoken by the Father, that you are slow to anger, that you have made us sons and daughters of God, that you depict a kingdom where all the workers earn their full wage, and that your Spirit works in us for justice. We ask for your guidance in all these practical and personal pathways, for you have walked this way before us. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we'll see everybody next week, and we're going to do 4.
Thank you, Donna.
You're
Thanks for
welcome.
handling the load.